Part 1. The Cold Call. They say a dog never forgets a scent. I believe that, but what they don't say is how deeply we remember silence. Not the absence of sound, but the kind of silence that screams something is wrong. It was early February when it came back to me, that day. The barn, the boy. I was still in service then. Parker and I had just returned from a long stakeout outside the train yard. I hadn't slept much, but the moment I stepped into the precinct, I heard it, a whisper of worry, a shift in the air, a mother's quiet sob echoing in the briefing room. 9 years old, missing since morning, said he was going out to see the snow. The snow that week was brutal. Frozen winds off the valley. Nights dipping below zero. It wasn't just a lost child alert. It was a race against time. The boy's name was Mason. Small for his age, loved horses, his mom said, carried a toy colt in his pocket. No one had seen him leave. Just footprints heading out from the porch into the field behind the house. And then, nothing. The storm had wiped everything clean. Parker crouched beside me in the snow. He unlatched my vest and clipped on my tracking line. "You ready, Rex?" he asked. I didn't bark. I didn't wag my tail. I just nodded. There was no need for theatrics. I had a scent. I had a mission. And Mason was out there, somewhere. Part 2. Into the storm. The snow-swallowed sound. Each step I took felt like pushing into a white wall that didn't want me there. But I had the scent, faint, frightened, and fragile like breath on glass. It led us past the edge of the property. Beyond the wooden fence that creaked like it wanted to speak. The field stretched out, blank and bitter. Parker followed a few steps behind me, boots crunching behind my paws. I paused at a patch of broken snow. Something shallow, like a small body had sat there. I sniffed the air. Underneath the cold, I caught it. The soft smell of peanut butter. Mason's lunch. We kept moving. A sudden gust tore across the field. And I stopped, ears perked. Something was different. Then I heard it, a creaking sound. Not the wind, not trees, something older. Wood. There, standing like a forgotten ghost, was an old barn, red paint peeled away by time, roof sagging, but inside, I knew, there was something. I barked twice and lunged toward the heavy doors. Parker ran up and pushed them open with his shoulder. Inside, darkness, dust, silence. But I saw him, tucked beneath hay bales, curled into himself, shivering, a red hat barely visible through the straw. Mason. He didn't speak. His lips were blue, but his eyes locked onto mine. And in that moment, I did what I always did. I moved. Part 3. The warmth of trust. I nudged the hay aside with my nose. Gently, slowly. Mason whimpered, the sound more instinct than voice. I lay beside him, pressing my body close to share my warmth. My vest was thick, enough to keep a grown man dry in a storm. But he was so small. I did the only thing I could. I curled around him, paws tucked in, nose at his cheek. Parker called out my name. But I didn't move. I let out one bark, low. Firm signal. Found him, but don't startle him. The boy's hands gripped my fur. Not strong, but enough. His fingers tangled into my neck like I was the last thing he could hold on to. Parker entered, slowly. He kneeled beside us and whispered, "Good boy, Rex. You're my miracle. You know that?" But I wasn't listening. Not really. My ears were tuned to Mason's heartbeat. Slow and tired. My eyes to the little toy horse that had fallen out of his coat. I nudged it back into his pocket. Because some things are sacred. And this boy needed a chance to remember joy. Part 4. The fire inside. We waited there in the barn, huddled against the cold. Minutes stretched. My body began to ache from stillness. But I dared not move. Mason's warmth was returning, slow but steady. His breathing found a rhythm. His head fell against my neck. Then I heard it, just faintly at first, the buzz of a drone overhead. It hovered above the barn, its faint blinking light casting red shadows across the window. I let out 2 short barks. Parker opened his radio. Visual acquired. We've got a positive heat signal in the barn. Dispatch. We need medical and thermal units immediately. Within minutes, flashing lights bounced across the barn walls. The doors opened wide again, and rescue teams flooded in, faces covered in goggles. Gloved hands reaching gently. Mason stirred. Horsey. He mumbled. I let out a soft whine. He was going to be okay. And me? I didn't feel heroic. I just felt full. Like I'd done what I was made to do. Part 5. The letter by the fire. Days passed. They told me Mason had fully recovered. Mild frostbite, some trauma, but he was laughing again. And every time they visited the station, he asked the same question. Where's Rex? So one morning, Parker drove me out to the family's cottage. Mason stood waiting with his parents by the porch. When I hopped out of the patrol SUV, he ran down the steps, not fast, not wild, just certain. He threw his arms around my neck. Hi, buddy, he whispered. That night, back home, I curled up by the fire. My legs ached more than usual. My ears had gone soft with age. But my heart was warm. Parker sat beside me and handed me something folded. A letter, written in blue crayon. Thank you, Rex. No fanfare, no medal. Just those words. And for me, that was enough. End of episode 2.